Hey everyone, it's Types, and Ninja Spinner recently released in Japan. Ninja Spinner, if you're not familiar, is the second main expansion of the year, and actually the second expansion released this year in Japan. Ascending Heroes released last year there, or the equivalent set. And speaking of equivalent sets, Ninja Spinner is the equivalent set to Chaos Rising, featuring, I believe, most of the cards from that set. And Chaos Rising is our second main set of the year. Ascending Heroes obviously released this year. Then we got Perfect Order, which is actually not out yet. It's, we got pre-releases going on, and then it'll be out soon in full release, and then we'll get rotation there. So these are all post-rotation decks. And yeah, so we're taking a look at some lists here on Limitless. I think like 10 lists or something like that. I don't actually know if I counted right. I didn't. I have 11 lists here. There are some that are very similar, but there's some really weird and wacky lists here from Ninja Spinner. They all feature Ninja Spinner cards in some regard, though some feature them a lot more than others, as you'll see. But I'd say all the lists here are super interesting, so make sure you watch till the end. Like, actually, there's some like really weird lists here and really weird tech cards, and also make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy the content here. But I guess I should quickly go over the important cards. Because I actually made a video talking about these cards, and there's just a couple of decks. Most of them weren't really played. There's kind of like theory ideas. So we got Beedrill EX as one of the EXs in the set, and then we got Mega Greninja EX as one of the EXs in the set as well. Those two are probably the two main EXs. I definitely think Mega Greninja EX is better than Beedrill EX, and looking at tournament results, that's what we see so far, though it's only been a few days since the set's been out. I recorded the video, a little bit before releasing it, not that much before, and so there's still new set hype, though. It's mostly new set hype, in fact, but there are some definitely powerful things with these new cards as well. Outside of those EXs, we also have two powerful support trainers. One that's a lot better than the other, which is Special Red Card, which I will read here. This we'll see in a handful of decks. I'm not going to talk about it too much in the decks, but we will see it in a good amount. And it says you can only use this card if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. Then it's an item here saying your opponent shuffles their hand, puts it on the bottom of their deck, then draws 3. This is a pretty good disruptive item. It's not broken, but it's pretty good, allowing you to disrupt your opponent in a pretty detrimental manner, though obviously, the game needs to have gone on for some time. Yes, you could knock yourself out to get this going earlier with something like Dustmore, but it's 3 prizes, right? It's not just being down on prizes. You need to have taken or been knocked out 3 times, or given up 3 prize cards there. So it's a good amount into the game, and on top of that, you don't have to be down, right? So you could use this even if you are up. That is also meaningful. So it's just a good late game card. Then we have the other card here, which is Patrat. Patrat has the ability Watchful Eyes. Seeing damage counters on Pokemon cannot be moved to another Pokemon. This is a counter to Monkey Dory. Patrat is fine. It's a little more niche than special red card because it counters one specific Pokemon, which itself is more of a counter. So that's something there. But ultimately, it's a card that I figure is worth mentioning that I think we'll see in a couple of lists here. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I'm not really going to talk about it either there. But we have the first deck here, which is one of the decks I mentioned earlier, which is Beedrill EX here. Beedrill EX has the attack Rumble B, which does 110 damage for each of your Beedrill and Beedrill EX in play. If you didn't know, there aren't actually any Beedrills in Standard. Or rather, there are. There's one in Standard, but it's rotating. So in post-rotation, in the front Japan's in, there is no regular Beedrill. There is only Beedrill EX. It doesn't matter too much because, you're evolving it from the same evolution line anyways here. And you're also using Force of Vitality, of course, and we see this paired with another Stage 2-1 Energy Grass EX in Arboliva EX. I cannot click. Arboliva EX allows you to do 20 snipe 6 times. I don't think this card's very good, but it's been doing kind of all right. I've definitely played with it some, and it's paired with Teal Pony EX in the post-rotation format some, and I play that deck, and Ogerpon feels pretty good, and Arboliva felt like super bad. So, anyways, I figured I'd mention that. But Arboliva EX is a cool little stage 2-1 energy grass EX. Did I say that right? I hope I did. Anyways, it's the same thing as Beedrill there in terms of those the way you set it up, essentially, right? Except Beedrill EX needs a bunch of Beedrills in play, or Beedrill EX is in play, I should say, because, as I said, there's no regular Beedrill. And this card can do up to 440 if you have 4 Beedrill EX in play. That's kind of hard to do, but getting 3 in play is definitely doable. That's going to allow you to do 330 there, one-shotting pretty much anything. On top of that, Grass is also a pretty good weakness to be hitting, so with 1 or 2 Beedrill EX in play, which obviously you will have 1 if you're attacking with it, then it's pretty decent there. I guess I will also mention Meowth EX here. Meowth EX is not new to the format from Chaos Rising / Ninja Spinner, but it is new with post-rotation from Perfect Order there, letting you search for a supporter. We'll see this card quite a bit. It's like very, very good, and it's a very powerful card, and it's a card that I imagine a lot of people aren't super familiar with. I guess. I mean, it's definitely been talked about a lot, but it's just not out there. But then we have the other deck that I talked about earlier, which is Mega Greninja EX. Mega Greninja EX here has the ability Deadly Shuriken, which on your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active, you can discard a basic water from your hand to use this ability and put 6 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Ninja Spinner, the name of the set, as well as the attack here for 2 water. You do 120, but you can return water energy from this Pokemon to your hand. It does not need to be a basic. And then if you do, this does 80 more damage. You should presumably do this like essentially all the time, I think. Unless you don't get the knockout, like you're two-shotting them regardless, or if you're one-shotting them regardless, or something like that, right? But even there, you could still return it because it gets the energy back into your hand, allowing you to, well, I guess I'll show the list, or actually I'll show this list here. This one runs Dragapult EX as well. Also, the list run regular Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade, taking Fighting Weakness, which is good, and it's just like a pretty decent card all in all. But anyways, with your upper energy, you can return it to your hand. This allows you to attach it to another Pokemon. Of course, you are getting the extra damage, which is certainly good, but on top of that, it allows you to attach it to your Dragapult EX later, or, you know, another Greninja EX or Mega Greninja EX there. So definitely a good thing to do to return the energy there. Also, I will mention it is theoretically similar to Greninja Break, theoretically very similar to Greninja Break, / the Greninja that was paired with Greninja Break. That being said, that deck was, I'd say, presumably less consistent than Mega Greninja EX, but also more. I mean, you know, it's a single prize deck, right? So it's a single prize deck that's a stage 3 deck. If you played with, honestly, really any single prize deck recently, then you kind of know they're kind of all in. You know, things can go really well or really badly, and they're just a bit chaotic. I don't think Mega Greninja is amazing, but the I don't know if the floor is higher, but I'd say the ceiling is lower because, you know, you're going to be a 3-prizer there. So how good can a 3-prizer actually be? And, you know, we see this in Standard, where 3-prizers are kind of meh, not really being a super powerful centerpieces of decks. I suppose you have something like Mega Kangaskhan. Calling that a centerpiece of a deck isn't entirely true, but on top of that, it also is a card that, you know, is very easy to power up and can get mediocre value even when it's not at its optimal point. And then also there's Mega Absol EX and other basics that are more so like secondary or supporting cards. Mega Absol is quite nice, but this is not a Mega Absol video. But yeah, you have the attack that returns the energy to your hand. You have the ability that does extra damage counters, or essentially extra damage there. It does go through Shaman. It isn't really, or it's stumped by Battle Cage, I guess, though you can go after the active. And honestly, the card's kind of similar to Dragapult EX. It's been paired with Dragapult EX or not. I don't know the best way to play it. I actually talked about this video a bunch in my previous Ninja Spinner / Chaos Rising video, where, as I said, I talked about some decks. Mega Ninja was the main one I talked about. And so if you want more info, check that out. And also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss more content on this set, which I definitely will be making as we get closer to it and as we get more info about it. But then we have the, when I say more info, I suppose I should mean, like, I guess more people have played with it and thought about it and things like that. But then we have the, we have this other list here. This one, so this one here runs like Surfing Beach and Grand Tree and Colossus Dynasty, kind of cool stuff, into Dunsparce as well. This list here runs another new card, which is a Big Catch Net, shuffling up to 3 water Pokemon and up to 3 water energy cards, or basic water energy cards, to discard into your deck. This is fine. I suppose it's a good card, but only if you recover a lot of cards. And in this deck, you, I guess, recover a lot of energy. I guess. I don't know. You don't really recover like an absurd amount. You certainly don't recover an absurd amount of Pokemon, because if you're getting knocked out a lot, that's bad. So Yeah, we have Big Catch Net, a cool card, I guess. We also see Wild's Compassion. Wild's Compassion is also good with, I guess, Neo Upper Energy in Mega Greninja EX, allowing you to return, the Neo Upper Energy to your hand, and then have a 1 energy attachment attacker there, which is good, allowing you to heal it off completely, which can be super, super powerful there. I guess we also see Hourglass, or I mean Power Glass for a similar use there. Then we have the next deck. This is another water deck, also running Dracoloak. This is a deck that is honestly not super new. I mean, it does run the new water energy, which does stop special conditions, but then it runs the new Stadium Prism Tower, letting you discard 2 cards to draw 1 card every turn. I actually don't exactly know why this is in the deck. I will talk about why I think it's in the deck, but if you have any more insight, leave that down below in the comment section. I'm really curious on that. This deck came first in the tournament. All these decks came in the top 16 of City Leagues. You can, again, look on Limitless there. And again, it is the City League, so they'll show up a little differently than regular tournaments. But with when this deck, it runs Mega Starmie EX here, which just does 120 active, 50 snipe for 1 water, which it's okay. I talked about a bunch with Uncommon Fossil on the podcast, and we're both. I mean, I thought it was better than he did, I think, but we both thought it was like okay. And it's definitely an interesting card that it was doing amazingly post rotation at first with new set height, kind of like what we see with Mega Greninja EX and Beedrill EX, but then it fell off a lot. So it's really interesting to see how good the deck actually is. I definitely think it's I guess a little underrated now, presumably, but definitely interesting to keep track of. We also see a 2/2 Dracoloak engine. We see 2 Patrats, which definitely seems not necessary in my opinion, but I haven't played the format. But presumably that's not necessary though. But then we also see, the Prism Towers, which seem weird. See Wally's Compassion yet again here being quite good with a 1 energy attacker, for the most part 1 energy attacker. Also the 4 what is it, Bubble Water Entities or whatever it's called. Yeah, that card seems not super useful, but I suppose it could be good. Definitely a weird list here, in my opinion, but it did well, and it really caught my eye, so I wanted to show it off here today. And we have the next deck here. This one is Mega Slowbro EX, which has, by the way, I don't know when this card is coming out. I just don't know. Maybe it'll be in the next set. I'm not really sure. If anyone knows that, I'm not super familiar with when these gym promo cards are printed. I think it's around 6 months after they come out, so it might be the 3rd set. I don't know. But anyways, you have this attack here, which is for 3 Psychic. You do 180. Then during your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is damaged, even if it's knocked out, you do essentially 120. You put 12 damage counters on your opponent's active. And this is really good, I guess. I don't know. It's definitely a weird card, but it's cool. Obviously could be quite powerful there. Then we have it with a Slowking deck, and we have Smoochum to accelerate as well. Kind of cool there. We also see another new card, which has honestly seen a ton of play, which is Metagross. And Metagross here is a stage 2 bounce back, is a hit and run attack, but the attack you're looking at here is Metallic Hammer. Metallic Hammer is also a weird attack. You can discard up to 3, or discard 3 Psych Energy. I can't speak through metal energies from this Pokemon. If you do, you do 150 more. Obviously, you don't have metal energies. You have psychic energies, right? So you don't do that, but you can do it. I mean, you can try to do it. You'll fail, but it'll work. It's really weird. This is like, I believe, the same thing as also my Ogerpon EX, but essentially you can use this attack without actually having any metal energies there. Obviously, normally you can't, but you copy it with the Slowking, and then able to do 300, which is like a bunch of damage, which is kind of cool. There are other ways to do big damage and take knockouts. I guess it's the replacement for Conkeldurr, but it's a card here. And then we see Wondrous Patch. We see the new Psychic Energy from Perfect Order in Telepath Psychic Energy. Definitely a really good card. Then we also see the deck is running, Kyurem. It's running Zoroark for some other options. It's run or options at attacking and just some cool stuff. Zoroark's a really cool card in my opinion. Then Lotus Clefairy EX, unsurprisingly here for Dragapult EX being very very good. If you don't know, Dragapult is very very good post rotation. I imagine most people do, but if you don't, then you better be prepared for it because it's kind of crazy. So if you don't like Dragapult, also yeah, that's rough. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, we got Metagross, so you can run Slowking and Metagross and do stuff like that. Also, there's an ability on this Slowpoke. Can't be confused. I guess it's another Monkey Dory counter. Not really, but it's something. We also see Unfair Stamp. Unfair Stamp's like very good post rotation. We'll see it in some of these decks, I imagine. Then we have the next deck. This is also Slowking, running 2 Metagross here, and it's running honestly a lot of similar cards to the previous list, but then we also see this Deoxys. Psycho Speed for 1 Psychic, doing 30. Draws we have 5 cards in hand, and also is free retreat here. This is a card that Uncommon Fossil, I don't know if I'd say really liked, but liked before the set came out, or came out in Japan / when the set was revealed. There's 4 Deoxys in the set. There's 3 that have seen play. The one's very filler. And I personally don't think this card's super good, but it is interesting. Just, having decent draw and damage, or it's not like that good damage, but turn 1 can knock out like a Badoo or something. So it does something. It's got free retreat. It's kind of like a baby Pokemon, but it's like not a baby. So definitely an interesting card here. Obviously, not a free attack like a baby Pokemon, but it's got a decent sheep attack and also free retreat. So definitely a fun little card there. Not super good, but one deck was playing it. Wanted to highlight it here. Then we have the next deck here. This deck is Metang with the new Metagross as well. We also see Mega Skarmory EX. We're also talking about Uncommon Fossil and I were also talking about this on our most recent podcast episode, which is on just like my YouTube channel. So again, subscribe so you don't miss those. But Mega Skarmory EX is an interesting card. Metang is definitely, I guess, also an interesting card that is very sketchy. Kind of requires, or doesn't require you, but encourages you heavily to play a lot of energies. Playing lots of energies obviously heavily encourages you to lose the game. So with that, it's going to be a little sketchy. But Skarmory is quite nice, doing 220 snipe theoretically every turn on a basic, so that's kind of cool. And then we also see Mega Mawile EX, another good, or theoretically kind of good basic Mega, and we got the Hutran, big energy ramp style Pokemon, or not like ramp, the more energy on it, the more damage it does. I guess like Hydro Pump is kind of the right word or something like that. But anyways, it is able to do theoretically a lot of damage on a single prizer, but obviously it's not that good, right? In terms of doing a ton of damage, you need to get a lot of energy. You probably need to get pretty lucky for that. Also, we got some weird supporters here. We have Perrin, which allows you to, it's double Pokemon communication, letting you search for 2 Pokemon. If you return 2 Pokemon from your hand to your deck, it's just a weird card. And we got Hassel here. We got Judge as well. Judge is a good post rotation. Or I don't know. I guess Iono is really good and it's rotating. So Judge is the next best option. Or Unfair Stamp, which I mentioned earlier. Then we also see the deck is running Philippe. Philippe allows you to accelerate 2 metals from your discard to 1 of your metal Pokemon. A decent supporter. I don't think it's super good, but it definitely has some potential there. It obviously works when you want metal energy on your board. Or kind of works. It is a supporter for the turn. But I mean, obviously Crispin is pretty good. I do think Crispin's... I'm a little lower on Crispin than other people, but it is a good card. Philippe isn't as good as Crispin. I guess it's better in this deck, but definitely a not super amazing card, but definitely an interesting card. Oh, we also see Repel. Okay, yeah. Anyways, there's some weird stuff here. Then we got the next list. This is, I guess I should show you something. So looking on Limitless, if you didn't know, so this is where you find City League results. This is how I find them. There's different ways to do it, but I, find a card, can look it up here or whatever, and then I scroll down and click on City League deck lists. I'll pull up a card like say Metang here, and you'll see these decks. These are not City Leagues. These are the City Leagues. But anyway, so we got Metagross here, and I look at like what's playing Metagross, and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. We got Metagross Skarmory. That might have been this deck. And then we got Steven's Metagross EX here, and you can look, and you can be like, oh, it's loading. Give me a sec. Okay, there we go. Got Metagross, right? We got like Metagross list, and it looks like the same Pokemon because it is. Got like Metagross Genesect, Metagross Genesect. These are not the same deck. This is the single prize Metagross. It's essentially Metang. It's a Metang deck, but it plays Metagross, so it shows the top card in the evolution line. If you see a deck playing like Rillaboom, that's probably Festival Lead, even though Rillaboom doesn't really have to do with Festival Lead. And then this one is Stevens here. They're certainly not going to be mixed and matched. I can't imagine because they don't really work together. They are not the same evolution line either. The one is Stevens. It's in front of all the cards in the evolution line, and for that reason, it is a different evolution line there, and also obviously a different deck in terms of how it plays, but it's displayed the same way on Limitless. So I wanted to mention that. But Stevens is kind of similar, actually, just like Metang, or Stevens Metagross EX is similar to Metang, allowing you to accelerate energy from your deck, Psychic and or Metal, to Psychic and or Metal Pokemon. We see this list is running Jellicent EX, Clefairy EX, and some other stuff. Mega Skarmory EX, Mega Mawile EX, some Metal Pokemon, some Psychic Pokemon. It's honestly a really fun card and or deck. But then we also see the new Deoxys. This is a Deoxys that's really funny. It's a lot of energy. It's 5 energy, 3 which are psychic. Or I guess it's 3 psychic, which then does 120, but that's not very good. Then you could do 120 more, or I guess 120 to the bench Pokemon. So it's kind of like Mass Ogerpon EX there, but it is 5 energy. So definitely going to be kind of awkward to power up. We see the list is running a 4-2-3 Stevens line with 3 rare candies there. So pretty clearly you're, probably going to need 2 Stevens Metagross EXs to power this up, or I guess you could do 1 across multiple turns, but then you're not really going to have extra energy on other Pokemon, so definitely something there. Jellicent EX with Stevens is honestly kind of interesting, allowing you to power up Jellicent EX pretty easily, especially in a format without Gardevoir EX. There's a Mega Gardevoir EX. I think Mega Gardevoir EX is very bad. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think it's... okay, I haven't really heard too many people talking about it, but I've heard a little bit of talk about it, and I don't think it's very good. But with Stevens Metagross EX, definitely a fun card, getting, some different Pokemon in play. And we have another list here. This one is an Empoleon EX list. Empoleon EX is like super mediocre in my opinion. We do see some other new cards though, and just interesting cards. We see the third Deoxys. This one is kind of like Ogerpon EX. It's immune to Pokemon with abilities after it attacks. They're doing 80 for 3. Obviously, pretty similar. It is on the effect of the attack as opposed to an ability, which means your opponent can like double ball. I mean, they can't double boss, right? But if they could do something like double boss, which there are decks that can, then at that point they're able to hit into it and knock it out. But there's no counter catcher. There is probably less prime catcher. Prime catcher. I'm assuming there's no iron bundle. Yeah, that's rotating. I'm pretty sure. So you're definitely gonna not see it as much, and these effects of attacks versus effects of abilities aren't going to be as different, which is very good for you. Then we also see, the I guess, classic Stevens Metagross stuff. So I don't necessarily think this deck's super good, but we are seeing a bunch of metal, or I don't think either deck is super good, Metang or Stevens Metagross EX, but they're definitely interesting, obviously having some cool toolbox options, and there are multiple pretty decent megas as well that work with metal, so definitely pretty interesting there, and some other cool single prizes and two prizes as well, and the new Deoxys, I just kind of want to show them off, or Deoxyses, I don't know. I don't know how to pluralize that. We also see the new special energy giving Metal Pokemon free retreat. This is kind of awesome. The only issue is that, Metal decks like Stevens Metagross EX and Metang are both wanting to use basic Metal energy, so it's a little clunky, but definitely could be powerful there. Then we have, a third deck here. This one runs... Why did I include this list here? I don't know. It's just another Stevens Metagross EX list, I think. Running more of the special energy. We got 2 special red card here as well. And we see, some different cards here. We got both megas and both, I guess, basic metal megas, I should clarify. So definitely some cool things. I do think this deck is pretty cool. We got a 1-1 Jellicent, not leaning into that as much, but you can also attack with Stevens Metagross EX and be a decent Pokemon. There are some ways to buff it as well, but we're not really seeing those in these lists here. Then we have the last deck here. This is another metal deck. This is Archetype EX, and this deck is running the new Stadium, letting you discard energies, or different cards, presumably energies, to power up your Archetype EX, or I guess whatever, using Archetype EX. Then we also see the new Patrat. We see special red card. We see the new special energy being, quite good here, giving you free retreat. We don't see Latias EX because you don't really need it, and that is a bit of a liability there. So that's definitely a pretty nice card. Again, with our Caledon EX, you are looking to, play basic metal energies, so the special energy is going to be at a bit of a tax there, but it's not too bad. And then we also do see, again, the Stadium, which I mentioned, discard 2, draw 1. I think it's pretty bad in a deck that isn't, getting value from the discard, and also helps your opponent. I mean, you could use it if your opponent plays this down and you're just playing, say, Dragapult or something, then you could use this, right? You might have cards you don't need, and it can be useful for thinning, and getting an extra card is certainly nice there and can be really big, but in the deck we are looking to discard, it's, I don't know if it's super good. It can be super good. In this deck, you're not looking to discard a ton of cards. You're looking to just discard a handful. I mean, just a few energies across the course of the game. Sure, you can thin other stuff, but you also don't have a super powerful draw engine. In the deck, we have more draw, like say Anzoric EX. Then you can afford to, I guess, discard more stuff. I mean, Anzoric EX, you are also discarding a lot of stuff anyways, so that kind of counters that. But like with Dracloak as well, which we saw earlier with the Mega Starmie deck, you definitely have some interesting ideas there with the Stadium, though I don't know if I'd say it's super good. It definitely seems a little sketchy there. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and tell me in the comment section what your thoughts are on these lists. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as Osmond says, see you in the next video.